I've been thinking a lot about how we move from our own individual care to actually experiencing the connection of community. And part of my intention here with our loop of awareness is not only that we learn how to shift our attention so that we don't get caught, but it's also so that we can weave our attention with the field and be able to both contribute to the field, but also to, it's like it's our own reservoir. We feed it, but it also sustains us. And we've had the great good fortune, luck, because 7 years ago we were in a 1,200-year historic drought here in California. It was the worst it had been in 1,200 years. And now our reservoir is full for the first time in 25 years. So, in the midst of all of this, I can think of our reservoir, and there's this sense of this spacious sustainability that I can feel just tuning into that. And that's part of what I would like us all to be experiencing is the actual refreshment of sharing attention, that we're not only
Mm.
experiencing giving attention and receiving attention, but weaving attention and weaving the I also attention has a little bit of baggage. Attention is so connected with pay attention, and that, yeah, and did something wrong. And when I do that, I realize that what happens to me is that there's like a little there's like a little screen or a door that shuts in my skin, that it kind of is a, almost like it sort of shrivels a little bit, or closes up, gets a little pinchy. And that when I'm relaxed in my giving and receiving of attention, I can actually feel it being received through my skin. So our skin is our biggest organ. So our skin, we think of our skin as just, it's the skin that holds it, but it's actually an organ. And so I was playing today with, when I'm scared, I think that it's kind of like it shuts the doors and I cannot receive. But when I'm opening and connecting my breathing with my loop of awareness, when I'm doing a little bit of movement, so I'm doing fear melters, then my skin actually relaxes. I was also thinking of our cat Allie. When she's really relaxed, her skin relaxes and her fur gets soft. But when she's more on alert, her skin gets more, and her fur is actually more prickly. And so it's a great little feedback, because we actually have fur, it's just more invisible. And so, when we get goosebumps, and our skin is responding both energetically to what's going on inside and what's going on outside. And so, what I was thinking of is in some of I haven't seen any of these superhero movies really since Superman. I haven't seen any of the Marvel ones, but I've seen some of the trailers where they fling out their energy and it goes in circles and it gets lit up and it surrounds people. And I thought, yes, that's what we do. Our energy has that amount of power to both connect us and also to nurture us. So I'm imagining you letting your energy circulate, because we have, shifting your attention, but I'm imagining you creating some kind of flow that allows you, like small rivers or tributaries that come out from you and they come around and then they come back to you, or that you have a little delta, where you have lots of tributaries that you can feel. Like I can feel them down my arms really easily. I can feel swirling around my upper chest. I can feel I once years ago had the experience. I was sharing with my acupuncturist that I think he had done some needle, and I experienced this whoosh around my pelvis. I actually felt like that swirling energy, like Doctor Strange going whoosh. And I was sharing that with him, and he said, "Oh, that's the daimai. You've activated the daimai." And I went, "Whoa, what the heck is the daimai?" But so there was this energetic experience that I had that I'd never had before. And my acupuncturist said, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's it." It's, that there's a world of energy exploration that I think comes and becomes available to us the more that we let our attention, our awareness, both shift, but also we can shape the quality of it. And so I'm very interested in how can we circulate our attention so that we're also aware of the tributaries that we're passing, and that the tributaries that are connecting to us and that are sharing with us. So the one that's most alive for me, and I welcome you sharing whatever the imagery is that comes to you, is either letting yourself have like lava, if you're more drawn to you got a lot of Pele energy going today, and like, oh, you can use that lava to let it circulate and combine and flow, and the power of that. Or you could do water. And I love the way from a drone view, like if you look at a delta, you can see how everything is weaving together. But when you're in your own little space, it looks like, oh, I have a little stream here, and it's just a little thing. It's not going to make a difference. But the actual weaving of our attention, I think, has enormous power to nourish us. Because what I also am experiencing now is this huge pull on my energy, to, get outraged about this, or to feel despair about this. And my sense is that coming home to our tributaries, our deltas, the lava flowing, is going to be incredibly nourishing for us all right now. So I want to have you tune into, which of those, speaks to you, or lights you up, and letting yourself play a little bit with letting your energy circulate out, and and weave through the people on the call, and then circulate back to you, and bringing the energy of here we are all together, and our energy is available both for us but also to share. And some people have been using the image of the lighthouse now, and I think that's also quite valuable, that we can be lights, that other people can see and relate to. But I want movement in my life, and because circulation is paramount to our health, not only to our own personal health, to our relational health, to our planetary health. And so finding the way that you can circulate that, I actually, even as I'm talking about it, I can feel more flow in my own body. And I'd like you to tune into, how would I know that I'm increasing the flow? What are the signals that would let me know I'm increasing the flow? And for me, also, I can feel what I call streaming, which and it's like this, but it's under my skin, and it's a very delicious feeling. And so my sense is, I'm remembering one of my favorite William Blake quotes, is that energy is eternal delight. Energy is eternal delight. Yeah. So as we're oh, and I just got a little whoof in my arms. They just went whoof. Whoo. Yeah. So, and letting your body respond to that, so that your body is letting your energy know that you're receptive and you're responding. And my sense is that that also increases the flow, because I'm feeling into, I'm listening, and I'm letting my body respond. So what's happened to our culture in the last 10 years is freezing, shrinking, freezing into the center, and fainting, just sort of dribbling out. I was sharing with a friend yesterday, there's a scene in Monty Python's The Meaning of Life where a guy is sitting in front of the television in his big old chair, and his sort of his body fluids start leaking out of his body, and he sort of goes and drains out. And I thought, I've felt that way myself. That's what I think of as faint, is that my energy just drains. And so the actual circulation of energy, because the second law of thermodynamics is that energy is neither created or destroyed. So we got it. It's available, but we have all of these, particularly from fear. Fear, stops the circulation. And so if I can let myself just even play a little bit with bringing flow through the fear, then I'm returning to that circulation and the weaving that I can contribute. If I'm feeling like just, lots and lots of energy, I can contribute to the whole. And if I'm feeling depleted, I can draw from the reservoir, and that we all are the reservoir. So that was the big thing that was coming to me, and the value of having people with whom you can just be. And that's also how I value our coming together. And when I'm tuning into you, I'm also going, and how is it for you today? And with curiosity, not with, oh, there you are, and then I have an assumption that I paste on you. There's that curiosity of, oh, how is the weave for you today? And my experience is that curiosity is an opener for any places where we're not really receiving. So the curiosity and that weaving is how I would invite you to let yourself play with what we're calling loop of awareness. And so for this week, you can call it a weave of awareness, weaving your awareness, weaving it through you and weaving it wherever you are. And I have found that our energy is so palpable. People will feel it. And I mostly, I don't go out as much right now into the world for all kinds of different reasons, but I do go to the grocery store. So that's that's where my exploration area. And I've lit up now all of the cashiers, because that's where I'm practicing a lot of my weaving. And so now they can kind of see me coming, and it's very fun because there's like, oh, what is she going to do today? And so that's part of the fun of, what kind of pattern interrupt is she going to do today? And so I see that my being able to turn my attention toward creativity is one of the most powerful ways of weaving and opening the flow. So shifting whatever it is that's going on in you, into that weave of creativity, because it is all the same energy. So that's what I wanted to share with you today for our looping. And I'd love you to weave with our card now. I was looking through it. What would be most useful for today? And this is the one that came to me. So I'd love you. And I also am seeing the hands as little weavers, and I'm seeing the people all holding hands as they're moving along. So I'm noticing now that I chose the card that there are lots of weaving images on it. So I'd like you to weave your energy on into it and then let it come back, and the lava or the flow of the water coming back through you and moving through you wherever it needs to move, and letting your body participate, letting your body share the flow. I'm going to read the sentence first. I'm open to connecting fully with my body intelligence and fully with the people in my life. What a great sentence. I'm open to connecting fully with my body intelligence and fully with the people in my life. Ah, and the question, which activates a different part of your brain, how can I connect fully with my body intelligence and with the people in my life? So the key verb here is connect. How can I connect? And I was suggesting that we can connect with flow, we can connect with sight, but it's so much more than just our vision. It's connecting with your intention and connecting with your curiosity and connecting with your body. And in that connection, I love the flow of the heart, the flow of the, you're connecting with the whole cosmos because, you have the energy of stars in your body. You actually have stars in your body. So we have, all of the ancient minerals and things that we don't even know, like what's that's circulating around in us and through us, and that's a lot of energy. And when I connect with that, it gives me a sense of I have so much more space than inside than I do stuff. And that's actually true that we are mostly space. And I think that we connect through fear and contraction because we haven't learned yet how to enjoy that amount of space and to be able to go, whoa, where am I and who am I when I'm mostly space? And how can I feel myself as a person when I'm the whole cosmos, which is a wonderful problem to have. It's what the scientists call the particle wave issue, that we're both particles, but we're also energy. And so particle wave is going on all of the time. And, just another little fact to wow you is that when electrons skip to another state, they actually disappear and then reappear. So we're actually going out into space and back into our bodies all the time. The sense of, here I am, whoop, I'm not here to be, oh, here I am. That whole, for me, it makes contemplating, aging and death a whole lot more interesting when I let myself connect with space inside. So let's come on back to the big group. And I'm going to pull up our Presence Connect play for today and see what we've got. I'm loving having these all of these tools that I can share with you. I love having the integrity cards, and then I can go into Presence Connect play. And I've been focusing also on Presence Connect play together because we do have this tendency, like I'm going to focus on this one thing, but relational exploration is way more complicated. I'm about to do a couples course in a couple of weeks, and I realize that when people are coming for individual exploration, it's an entirely different gestalt than when you have relationship, because it's so easy to go, it's your fault, no, it's your fault, rather than it's something that we're doing together that's creating this thing. So that's what I think Presence Connect play can give us more of our relational ability to presence and connect and play, both with ourselves and with the world. So presence says, explore the 4 pillars of integrity, and we're doing that. So whenever I experience a wobble, and I'm getting much better at catching it when it's a wobble before it becomes, the wheel falling off. And I invite you to notice just the little when you start to go out of alignment. One of the ways I've been studying that is when my energy just starts to peak and diminish a little bit. Because with COVID, I started out knowing I had no energy. I could get up and do one thing and then I had to go back to bed. So when I got more and more energy, I started to notice, okay, because I used to be an Energizer bunny, for those of you who are in that club, where I would just go and go and go until I fell over, and and then would have to recover. And so now I'm learning, like, oh, if I make a shift early, it's way more effective. So so for me, the one of the shifts that I do my best to make is a shift into one of the focusing on one of an integrity move. So, and I have my favorites, like, what's most accurately true right in this moment. And I will actually describe it out loud. And I have found that to be incredibly useful, where I just am stating it's really from our skill of matching. So I feel something and then I describe it, and I find it most useful if I can describe it to Gay or to a friend, so that I'm and then I get also that flow of our both of our attention is focusing on it, and then I make a shift, and almost immediately, within a couple of seconds or immediately, something shifts in me. So when I'm actually identifying what is so, like, oh, I'm noticing this sort of strange, sort of pulling sensation in my neck. And I'm both giving attention to it and I'm describing it. And I think both of those are incredibly important. And it shifts. And it always shifts toward more flow or more space. And then what might be under it, might be a feeling or something that I didn't complete, or, and it's often something that I experienced it in the moment, but I didn't express it. And so I have a what we call a withhold that, and when I reveal that, I'm back in flow again. And so and also any integrity move is going to take you into an experience of your wholeness. Because remember, integrity is a complete and whole totality with nothing wanting. So, what I love about that is that it identifies us as completely whole and lovable in our state. Whatever is going on, I am completely whole and lovable. And that I can experience that wholeness, weaving that wholeness by practicing an integrity move. And I find that the practice of that has been very confirming for me. So I've done my own personal research on that, and I invite you to see what happens to your life and to your experience with yourself when you simply realize, oh, time to make an integrity move, to affirm and weave wholeness again, rather than, oh, what did I do again? And I messed up, or it's your fault again, and then off we go into drama. So I have spent so much less time in drama, which leaves me a whole lot of time for appreciating beauty, for creating, for presencing, for being out in my garden, for being in life. And so I love that. And connect. See others as allies. I think this is the big, if there were a God, she would say, this is your big assignment. This is your planetary assignment, is to see others as allies. And that was the big shift in my relationship with Gay, when instead of seeing him as the guy who's always criticizing me, and I committed to seeing him as my ally, because that's something that I could choose, that I can affirm. And lo and behold, it took a little while, but I just kept recommitting to seeing him as my ally. And lo and behold, the criticism really just sort of dried up. It just went away. And what it opened up then is that when Gay would say, I notice, at first, when he would say, I notice, I would have this, I'd have this cringe, this, getting ready for the thing he was going to land on me, which then it was a listening for criticism. But when I began really committing to seeing him as my ally, I started getting curious, and I realized there was this one day where I realized when he said, I notice, I turned toward him and I could feel this rising up of curiosity. what it is that you're noticing. And he didn't notice anything critical at all. It was something that he had noticed that he wanted to share with me. So his noticing shifted, to want to share something that was really cool or some cosmic thing. So our willingness to see others as allies allows them to contribute to us. So it allows us all to share from our unique experience, which is going to be different. It's not going to be like us. But if I am receiving, it's like the tributaries and all of those different places that people have been where they get the nourishment. It just was, I just had pop up in my mind the movie Hamnet. And if you have not seen the movie Hamnet, it is a must view. Even to watch it again, there is so much in there. First of all, like the world's best tree. For any of you who have explored the rooting with us, this is the rooting tree, if you ever want to call on it. But also the weaving of attention and the noticing of how to connect in different ways with people rather than just an intellectual, tossing back and forth of ideas. I think you will find it incredibly, incredibly nourishing. And also turning your experience into creativity, turning your experience into creative expression. So as we see others as allies, we could solve all the problems right now from that willingness to see others as allies. And that means that we don't have to necessarily agree, but we realize that we're on the same team. We're on Team Planet Earth, and this is it, folks. Regardless of what some of the bros are saying about Mars and stuff. Right now, this is it. So play is a wonderful one, and it's called chunk, and in parenthesis, fewer words. And for some of the folks who are on social media right now, I would really like them to chunk. People are putting entire books into their posts, and it's like, oh my God, this is it, but oh my God. And I'm going, no, I'm not gonna, I just, thank you, but could you the gist, yeah, could you just chunk it? And I have found also in wanting to connect with others that when I chunk my expressions, I get much better flow. I'm sharing oh, I love that color on you. Oh, when I look at that, I feel, so a little chunk, where did you get that dress? I'm really, really, I'm going on and on. No, I'm not really allowing that flow. So chunking is so much. Also, if you think of directions, I've gotten really good at giving directions. I use my whole body. I go, well, here, you're right here, and you want to go this way, and you want to go 1 block. So I think that if you think of directions, it's a great way to chunk. So if somebody says, well, you got to go down to the corner where there's a stop sign. The stop sign doesn't work, but across the street there's and then they're gone, you're gone. And so with your intention to see others as allies, chunking really supports that. And I find if I go on, it usually means I'm scared. And I'm just kind of filling it in. And, so some people, like my dad, he didn't communicate at all. He got like, huh. He made sounds. My dad communicated with, so I remember one time I looked up at him. I was visiting. I looked up at him and I said, is there anything else you'd like to say, Dad? He I could hear him kind of chuckling back there behind it. He knew what he was doing. So chunking, seeing others as allies, and exploring the 4 pillars. I'd like you to see how those can nurture you this week and contribute to the weaving of all of our tributaries together. And So grateful for all of you. This is my, truly having this on Monday. For me, it's a blueprint for the week. Setting up that sense of celebrating and, oh, we should do some here I am, and I'm so glad before we end for today. Here I am. So where in the world do you get to do this? Where you get to go, here I am, and I'm so glad. Then you could add a to it. So when I go, I'm so glad, I'm a I can feel all of that juiciness in me. And another one, here I am, however and your here I am might be, here I am. Because that's just fine too. Here I am. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And who knows what's going to happen this week. So, let's keep tuning in and weaving and supporting each other. And so lots of love to you all. Until next time, please stay and share as you like. Mwah! Take good care.